to Parikshit Maharaj that how Lord is super soul, he is a supreme Lord, he is a personification of the Vedas, he is worshipped by Brahma and Shiva. Just now in third canto we saw how Brahmaji is praying to Lord. Now we'll do today 20th verse, 4.20 to canto 2. श्रियापति यज्ञपति प्रजापति धियांपति लोकपति धरापति पतिर्गतिश् चान्दकवृष्णि सात्वताम् प्रसीदतां मे भगवान् सतां पति. Prabhupada quotes this verse where in Bhagavad Gita, where it is said, in the process of creation, Lord has created the sets of demigods with the mutual understanding, and the sets of men with the mutual understanding. They work together. In that verse, Prabhupada puts this in the purport. When it comes to Pati, who is real Pati? It is only Krishna. He is Shriyapati, he has all the opulence. He is Yagyapati. He is the director of all the sacrifices, that means he is the benefactor of the sacrifices. He is Prajapati, he is the leader of all the living entities. Dhyam Pati is the master of our intelligence. Lokapati, he is the proprietor of all the planets. Dharapati, he is the protector of Mother Earth. Pati Gati Cha Andhaka, so he is the destination, he is the head of all the kings of Yadu dynasty. Then Vrishni, the first king of Yadu dynasty is Vrishni. In this way, he is the head of all the Vrishni Parivar, Yadu Parivar. Satvatam, he is the head of all the Yadus. Prasidatam. So yes, Sukadeva Goswami says, Prasidatam, be merciful upon me, O Bhagavan, Shri Krishna, Satam, Pati, you are the protector of all the devotees. Palana iti Pati. As a name comes Pati. Pati means Palana iti. Okay, read Anvaya, read Jagat Anvaya, read. Narada, you read.
Mataji, Kusum Mataji, can you read on our behalf, Mataji? We'll take the next verse.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Manjali.
श्रियपति यज्ञपति प्रजापति धियां पतिर लोकपतिर धरापति पतिर्गतिश्चान्दक वृष्णि सात्वतां प्रसीदतां मे भगवान सतां पति. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. May Lord Sri Krishna, who is the worshipable Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all the kings, like Andhaka and Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty, the husband of all goddesses of fortune, the director of all sacrifices and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of all intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, the supreme all in all, be merciful upon me. Purport. Since Sukadeva Goswami is one of the prominent Gatavyalikas who are freed from all misconceptions, he therefore expresses his own realized perception of Lord Sri Krishna as being the sum total of all perfection, the personality of Godhead. Everyone is seeking the favor of the goddess of fortune, but people do not know that Lord Sri Krishna is the beloved husband of all goddesses of fortune. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord, in his transcendental abode, Golok Vrindavan, he is accustomed to herding the Surabhi cows and is served there by hundreds of thousands of goddesses of fortune. All these goddesses of fortune are manifestations of his transcendental pleasure potency, Ladini Shakti, in his internal energy. And when the Lord manifested himself on this earth, he partially displayed the the activities of his pleasure potency in his Rasa Leela just to attract the conditioned souls who are all after the phantasmagoria, pleasure potency in degraded sex enjoyment. The pure devotees of the Lord, like Sukadeva Goswami, who was completely detached from the abominable sex life of the material world, discussed this act of the Lord's pleasure potency, certainly not in relation to sex, but to relish a transcendental taste inconceivable to the mundaners who are after sex life. Sex life in the mundane world is the root cause of being conditioned by the shackles of illusion, and certainly Sukadeva Goswami was never interested in the sex life of the mundane world. Nor does the manifestation of the Lord's pleasure potency have any connection with such degraded things. Lord Chaitanya was a strict sannyasi, so much so that he did not allow any woman to come near him, not even to bow down and offer respects. He never even heard the prayers of the Devadasis offered in the temple of Jagannath because a sannyasi is forbidden to hear songs sung by the fair sex. Yet, even in the rigid position of a sannyasi, he recommended the mode of worship preferred by the gopis of Vrindavan as the topmost loving service possible to be rendered to the Lord. And Srimati Radharani is the principal head of all such goddesses of fortune, and therefore she is the pleasure counterpart of the Lord and is non different from Krishna. In the Vedic rituals, there are recommendations for performing.
Wait. Wait. Vimla, read from here. It's a big purport. Vimla, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Read.
And, and Srimati Radharani is the principal head of all such goddesses of fortune, and therefore she is the pleasure counterpart of the Lord and is non-different from Krishna. In the Vedic rituals, there are recommendations for performing different types of sacrifice in order to achieve the greatest benefit in life. Such benedictions as the result of performing great sacrifices are, after all, favors given by the goddess of fortune, and the Lord, being the husband or lover of the goddess of fortune, is factually the Lord of all sacrifices also. He is the final enjoyer of all kinds of yagna. Therefore, Yagnapati is another name of Lord Vishnu. It is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita that everything be done for the Yagnapati, Yagnarat Tat Karmanaha. For otherwise, one's act will be the cause of conditioning by the law of material nature. Those who are not freed from all misconceptions perform sacrifices to please the minor demigods, but the devotees of the Lord know very well that Lord Sri Krishna is the supreme enjoyer of all performance of sacrifice. Therefore, they perform the Sankirtan Yagna, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, which is especially recommended in this age of Kali. In Kali, performance of other types of sacrifice is not feasible due to insufficient arrangements and inexpert priesthood. We have information from the Bhagavad Gita 3.10 to 11 that Lord Brahma, after giving rebirth to the conditioned souls within the universe, instructed them to perform sacrifices and to lead a prosperous life. With such sacrificial performances, the conditioned souls will never be in difficulty in keeping body and soul together. Ultimately, they can purify their existence. They will find natural promotion into spiritual existence, the real identity of the living being. A conditioned soul should never give up the practice of sacrifice, charity, and austerity in any circumstances. The aim of all such sacrifices is to please the Yagnapati, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord is also Prajapati. According to the Katha Upanishad, the one Lord is the leader of the innumerable living entities. The living entities are maintained by the Lord. Eko Bahunam Yo Vidhati Kaman. The Lord is therefore called the Supreme Bhuta Bhata or maintainer of all living beings. Living beings are proportionately endowed with intelligence in terms of their previous activities. All living beings are not equally endowed with the same quality of intelligence because behind such development of intelligence is the control of the Lord as declared in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15. As Paramatma, Supersoul, the Lord is living in everyone's heart, and from Him only does one's power of remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness follow. Matta smritam dhyanam apohanam cha. One person can sharply remember past activities by the grace of the Lord, while others cannot. One is highly intelligent by the grace of the Lord, and one is a fool by the same control. Therefore, the Lord is Dhiyampati, or the Lord of intelligence. Dhiyampati, or the Lord of intelligence. The conditioned souls strive to become lords of the material world. Everyone is trying to lord it over the material nature by applying his highest degree of intelligence. This misuse of intelligence by the conditioned soul is called madness. One's full intelligence should be applied to get free from the material clutches. But the conditioned soul, due to madness only, engages his full energy and intelligence in sense gratification, and to achieve this end of life, he willfully commits all sorts of misdeeds. The result is that instead of attaining an unconditional life of full freedom, the mad conditioned soul is entangled again and again in different types of bondage in material bodies. Everything we see in the material manifestation is but the creation of the Lord. Therefore, He is the real proprietor of everything in the universes. The conditioned soul can enjoy a fragment of this material creation under the control of the Lord, but not self sufficient. That is the instruction in the Isha Upanishad. One should be satisfied with things awarded by the Lord of the universe. It is out of madness only that one tries to encroach upon another's share of material possessions. The Lord of the universe,
What
out
is
of
the
his
verse?
cause,
What is the verse? Ishavasi vidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita mahabhudakasya supreme. Lord is the proprietor. Lord has given everybody their own share. But instead of seeing our share, we see others' share and we try to encroach others' share. There is madness actually. Okay, great.
the Lord of the universe, out of his causeless mercy upon the conditioned souls, descends by his own energy, Atma Maya, to re-establish the eternal relation of the conditioned souls with him. He instructs all to surrender unto him instead of falsely claiming to be enjoyers for a certain limit under his control. When he so descends, he proves how much greater is his ability to enjoy, and he exhibits his power of enjoyment by, for instance, marrying 16,000 wives at once. The conditioned soul is very proud of becoming the husband of even one wife, but the Lord laughs at this. The intelligent man can know who is the real husband. Factually, the Lord is the husband of all the women in his creation, but a conditioned soul, under the control of the Lord, feels proud to be the husband of one or two wives. All these qualifications as the different types of pati mentioned in this verse are meant for Lord Sri Krishna, and Shukdev Goswami has therefore specially mentioned the pati and gati of the Yadu dynasty. The members of the Yadu dynasty knew that Lord Sri Krishna is everything, and all of them intended to return to Lord Krishna after he had finished his transcendental pastimes on the earth. The Yadu dynasty was annihilated by the will of the Lord because its member had to return home with the Lord. The annihilation of the Yadu dynasty was a material show created by the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, the Lord and the members of the Yadu dynasty are all eternal associates. The Lord is therefore the guide of all devotees, and as such, Shukdev Goswami offered him due respects with love-laden feelings. Hare Krishna Mataji.
So here, Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami tells to Parikshit Maharaj, Lord is protector of everyone. Lord is protecting the dynasty. At the same time, Lord is protecting Mother Earth. Then He's also protecting all the intelligent class of people. And at the same time, Satampati, he is a protector of the devotees. Yat anti abhidhana samadhidhaupyaya धियानुपश्यन्ति हि तत्त्वम् आत्मनः वदन्ति चैतत् कवयो यथा रुचम् समे मुकुन्दो भगवान् प्रसीदताम्. Lord, please be pleased with me. The previous verse also the same. 20th verse also the same. Please be merciful. Please be pleased with me. Yad Angri Abhidadaya, who is always remembering your lotus feet, that person is actually in Samadhi. Samyak adhyate asmin atmatattva yathatmayam. So who always remembers Krishna, who is always meditating on the beautiful lotus feet of Krishna, he is in Samadhi. Now Dhautaya Dhiya Anupashyati. Dhautaya. What is given? It is the Supreme Personality who gives the liberation. By thinking of Him, following in the footsteps of authorities, the devotee can see the Lord. Okay. Dhautaya has not been explained by Srila Prabhupada in this. The learned mental speculators, however, think of Him according to their whims. May the Lord be pleased with me. Okay, let us see. Dhautaya, Dhiya, by such clean intelligence. So what is removed? The contamination is removed, washed off. Dhiya, because here Dhiya has been given, Dhautaya Dhiya, that means washed off with the material contamination. So the intelligence is now clean. So with that clean intelligence, by following the authorities, Anupashyanti, he can see. So following the footsteps, how we can understand this word Anu? By the word Anu. Wherever Anu comes means following the authorities. So in this way, one can see the absolute truth. And the learned scholars, Vadanti cha etad kavehat. Philosophers, learned scholars, what they say? Yatharucham saha me mukundaha. So in this way, the learned scholars say that one who concentrates on the lotus feet of Lord. No, here the meaning is different. The learned scholars, as he think, here Prabhupada writes, think of him according to their whims. Okay. So may the Lord be pleased with me. So yes, Sukadeva Goswami says, it is the Lord who gives liberation. By thinking of him, following in the footsteps, the devotee is in trance, he can see the absolute truth, his intelligence is purified. But the learned mental speculators, that is Kavayaha, has been given. What they think according to whatever, without following the authorities, according to their whims. But it is actually Mukunda who is giving liberation. Mukharavinda Kundavati. And also Mukti Pradata is Lord Krishna. Oh Lord, be pleased with me. Okay. So here Kulashekar Alwar's verse has been put. Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam Adyaiva me Vishatu Manasa Rajahamsa Prana Prayana Samaya Kapavati Vittai Gantavarodhana Vadu Swaram Tasti. So let us not wait till the last when the body is itself healthy. Adyaiva me Vishatu Manasa Rajahamsa. So meditating upon the Lord is the focus of this verse. Okay, now read Jagat Anvaya. Read.
Mataji, I am reading on her behalf because she is making Manjari sleep.
Okay, read.
यद् यदङ्ग्रयध्यानसमाधिधौतया धियानुपश्यन्ति हि तत्त्वमात्मनः वदन्ति चैतत् कवयो यथा रुचम् स मे मुकुन्दो भगवान् प्रसीदताम्. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: it is the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna who gives liberation. By thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following in the footsteps of the authorities, the devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. May the Lord be pleased with me. Purport: the mystic yogis, after a strenuous effort to control the senses, may be situated in the trance of yoga just to have a vision of the super soul within everyone. But the pure devotee, simply by remembering the Lord's lotus feet at every second, at once becomes established in real trance, because by such realization his mind and intelligence are completely cleansed of the diseases of material enjoyment. The pure devotee thinks himself fallen into the ocean of birth and death and incessantly prays to the Lord to lift him up. He only aspires to become a speck of transcendental dust at the lotus feet of the Lord. The devotee, by the grace of the Lord, absolutely loses all attraction for material enjoyment. And to keep free from contamination, he always thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord. King Kulashekara, a great devotee of the Lord, prayed, कृष्ण त्वदीयपदपङ्कजपञ्जरान्तम् अद्यैव मे विशतु मानसराजहंसः प्राणप्रयाणसमये कफपातपित्तहै कण्ठावरोधनविधौ स्मरणं कुतस्ते. May Lord Krishna, I pray, my Lord Krishna, I pray that the swan of my mind may immediately sink down to the stems of the lotus feet of your Lordship and be blocked in their way in their network. Otherwise, at the time of my final breath, when my throat is choked up with cough, how will it be possible to think of you? There is an intimate relationship between the swan and the lotus stem. So the comparison is very appropriate. Without becoming a swan or Paramahamsa, one cannot enter into the network of the lotus feet of the Lord. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, the mental speculators, even by dint of learned scholarship, cannot even dream of the absolute truth by speculating over it for eternity. The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to such mental speculators. And because they cannot enter into the network stem of the lotus feet of the Lord, all mental speculators differ in conclusions, and at the end, they make a useless compromise by saying, as many conclusions, as many ways, according to one's inclination, yatha rucham. But the Lord is not like a shopkeeper trying to please all sorts of customers in the mental speculator exchange. The Lord is what He is, the absolute personality of Godhead, and He demands absolute surrender unto Him only. The pure devotee, however, by following the ways of the previous acharyas or authorities, can see the Supreme Lord through the transparent medium of a bona fide spiritual master, Anupashyanti. The pure devotee never tries to see the Lord by mental speculation, but by following the footsteps of the acharyas, Mahajano Yena Gathasa Pantha. Therefore, there is no difference of conclusion amongst the Vaishnava Acharyas regarding the Lord and the devotees. Lord Chaitanya asserts that the living entity, Jiva, is eternally the servitor of the Lord and that he is simultaneously one with and different from the Lord. This tattva of Lord Chaitanya's is shared by all four sampradayas of the Vaishnav school, all accepting eternal servitude to the Lord even after salvation. And there is no authorized Vaishnava Acharya who may think of the Lord and himself as one. This humbleness of the pure devotee, who is 100% engaged in his service, puts the devotee of the Lord in a trance by which to realize everything because to the sincere devotee of the Lord reveals himself as stated in Bhagavad Gita 10.10 Tesham Saratayuttanam. The Lord, being the Lord of intelligence in everyone, even in non devotees, favors his devotee with proper intelligence so that automatically the pure devotee is enlightened with the factual truth about the Lord and his different energies. The Lord is revealed not by one's speculative power or by one's verbal jugglery over the absolute truth. Rather, he reveals himself to the devotee when he is fully satisfied by the devotee's service attitude. Shukadev Goswami is not a mental speculator or compromiser of the theory of as many ways, as many conclusions. Rather, he prays to the Lord only, invoking his transcendental pleasure. That is the way of knowing the Lord.
Over. Next. प्रचोदिता येन पुरा सरस्वती वितन्वताजस्य सतीं स्मृतिं हृदि स्वलक्षण प्रादुर्भृत् किलासयतः तमे ऋषयः प्रसीदताम्. Again, prasidataam, please be pleased with me. Prachodita. So in the beginning of the creation, may the Lord, who in the beginning of creation, amplified the potent knowledge of Brahma from within his heart and inspired him with full knowledge of creation and of his own self, and who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma, be pleased with you. Be pleased with me. Let us see. Projitaha means inspired. In the beginning, he inspired. Saraswati Vitanvita, amplified. Amplified the potent knowledge. Ajasya, so he gave the knowledge to Brahma to create. Satim Srutim, in this way he gave that memory also within the heart. Tene Brahmurdaya Adikabe Muyante Surya. So he has given this in the heart. Lakshanaha Pradura Bhavat. In this way everything has generated. It appears that he has generated from the mouth of Brahma. Yushinam Rishabha. So he appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma, this knowledge of creation. It appears like that. But actually it is Krishna who gives the knowledge to Brahma. Brahma, has then given this Vedic knowledge to everyone. But it is Krishna who gave the knowledge to Brahma. Appears that Brahma is giving this knowledge. But Saraswati, that is knowledge, emanates from Krishna. That is why we chant Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudire. So the Saraswati of the eternal world, she is subservient to Krishna. Okay. Now who will read? Vimla, you read. Because Krishna Priya is traveling, so she cannot read. You read. Bimla read. Bimla, will you read? Okay, Kusum, read.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
You're sleeping now.
No, no. One phone call had come. प्रचोदितायेन पुरा सरस्वती पितिन्वताजस्य सतीं स्मृतिं हृदि स्वलक्षणा प्रादुर्भूत किलास्यतः समे ऋषीणां वृषभ प्रसीदताम्. Translation: May the Lord, who in the beginning of the creation amplified the potent knowledge of Brahma from within his heart and inspired him with full knowledge of creation and of his own self, and who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma, be pleased with me. Purport: As we have already discussed here in before, the Lord as the super soul of all living beings from Brahma to the insignificant ant endows all with the required knowledge potent in every living being. A living being is sufficiently potent to possess knowledge from the Lord in the proportion of 50, 64, or 78% of the full knowledge acquirable. Since the living being is constitutionally part and parcel of the Lord, he is unable to assimilate all the knowledge that the Lord possesses himself. In the conditioned state, the living being is subject to forget everything after a change of body known as death. This potent knowledge is again inspired by the Lord from within the heart of every living being, and it is known as the awakening of knowledge, for it is incomparable to awakening from sleep or unconsciousness. This awakening of knowledge is under the full control of the Lord, and therefore we find in the practical world different grades of knowledge in different persons. This awakening of knowledge is neither an automatic nor a material interaction. The supply source is the Lord Himself, Dhyam Patih. For even Brahma is also subject to this regulation of the Supreme Creator. In the beginning of the creation, Brahma is born first, without any father and mother, because before Brahma there were no other living beings. Brahma is born from the lotus which grows from the abdomen of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and therefore he is known as Aja. This Brahma or Aja is also a living being, part and parcel of the Lord, but being the most pious devotee of the Lord, Brahma is inspired by the Lord to create subsequent to the main creation of the Lord, though the agency of the material nature, through the agency of the material nature. Therefore, neither the material nature nor Brahma is independent of the Lord. The material scientists can merely observe the reactions of the material nature without understanding the direction behind such activities, as a child can see the action of electricity without any knowledge of the powerhouse engineer. This imperfect knowledge of the material scientist is due to a poor fund of knowledge. This Vedic knowledge was therefore first impregnated within Brahma, and it appears that Brahma distributed the Vedic knowledge. Brahma is undoubtedly the speaker of the Vedic knowledge, but actually he was inspired by the Lord to receive such transcendental knowledge as it directly descends from the Lord. The Vedas are therefore called aparusheya, or not imparted by any created being. Before the creation, the Lord was there, Narayana Paro Vyaktat, and therefore the words spoken by the Lord are vibrations of transcendental sound. There is a gulf of difference between the two qualities of sound, namely Prakrit and Aprakrit. The physicist can deal only with the Prakrit sound or sound vibrated in the material sky, and therefore we must know that the Vedic sounds recorded in symbolic expressions cannot be understood by anyone within the universe unless and until one is inspired by the vibration of supernatural aprakrit sound, which descends in the chain of disciplic successions from the Lord to Brahma, from Brahma to Narad, from Narad to Vyas, and so on. No mundane scholar can translate or reveal the true import of the Vedic mantras hymns. They cannot be understood unless one is inspired or initiated by the authorized spiritual master. The original spiritual master is the Lord Himself, and the succession comes down through the sources of parampara, as clearly stated in the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So, unless one receives the transcendental knowledge from the authorized parampara, one should be considered useless. Vifala Mataha. Even though one may be greatly qualified in the mundane advancement of arts or science. Shukdev Goswami is praying from the Lord by dint of being inspired from within by the Lord so that he could rightly explain the facts and figures of creation as inquired by Maharaj Parikshit. A spiritual master is not a theoretical speculator like the mundane scholar, but is Shrotriyam Brahma Nishtham. Hare Krishna.
Next. भूतेर्महद्भिः य इमा पुरो विभो निर्मायेषेते यत् अमुषु पुरुषः भुङ्क्ते गुणान् षोडशात्मकः सो अलङ्कृशिष्ट भगवान् वचांसि मे. So may the Supreme Lord, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe, and who in the Purusha incarnation causes the living entities to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes, which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statements. In the previous verse, Brahma speaks Vedas. Just now in the third canto, we saw that Brahmaji is praying to Lord. Though you ask me to speak the Vedas, let me not be carried away by the Vedic sound. It emanates from you. Let me not be bewildered by the Vedic sound. By the Vedic sound, let me understand your qualities. And now here, the Sri Sukadeva Goswami says, Lord is enlivening everyone because he is appearing in this universe. He is lying down in the universe. When he is lying down in the universe, he is enlivening. That means everybody is happy. That is how 16 divisions of material modes, which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statement. He causes the living being to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes of nature. So we have 5 gross, 5 working, 5 knowledge gaining senses, and 1 mind. In this way, 16 divisions of material modes. That is how the body has been given to the living being. And let him be pleased to decorate my statement. So in this way, Bhutahi Mahadvihi. So by the elements, he has done this material creation. Purha means the bodies. Vibhu, that means the Lord has given all this. This all setup has been done by him. Yet Amushu, he is incarnating as Purusha. Purusha incarnation. Karanadakshay, Garbhodakshay, and Shirodakshay. So the living entities, they are subjected to these 3 gunas. Shodashaka, that means 16 divisions are there. Shodasha Atmakaha, there is a generator. The whole body is made up of 24 elements, of which now 16 has been spoken. So in this way, let him decorate, let him be pleased to decorate my statements. So the glorification of Lord can be done only by his mercy. He can only decorate even the statements also. That is what is given. Now here in the 23rd verse, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, "May the Lord ornament my words by his presence in them, just as he creates the body of the living entities with the material elements and dwells in them. But as the Purusha, being the life of 16 elements, enjoys them without being contaminated." So in this body, which is made up of 16 elements, actually 24, but 16 elements have been spoken, Lord is staying there without being affected. He is enjoying them without being contaminated. That has been given. Okay. Nikhil, read.
Yes, Mataji.
Read fast.
भूतैर्महत् भूतैर्महद्भिर्य भूतैर्महद्भिर्य इमा पुरो विभुः निर्माय शेते यदमुषु पूरुषः भुङ्क्ते गुणान् षोडश षोडशात्मकः सोऽलङ्कृशिष्ट भगवान् वचांसि मे. Translation: May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe, and who, in his Purusha incarnation, causes the living beings to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes, which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statements. Purport: As a fully dependent devotee, Shukadev Goswami, unlike a mundane man who is proud of his own capability, invokes the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead so that his statements may be successful and be appreciated by the hearers. The devotee always thinks of himself as instrumental for carrying out successfully as instrumental for anything successfully carried out, and he declines to take credit for anything done by himself. The godless atheist want to take all credits of activities, not knowing that even a blade of grass cannot move without the sanction of the Supreme Spirit, the personality of Godhead. Shukadev Goswami therefore wants to move by the direction of the Supreme Lord, who inspired Brahma to speak the Vedic wisdom. The truths described in the Vedic literatures are not theories of mundane imagination, nor are they fictitious as the less intelligent class of men sometimes think. The Vedic truths are all perfect descriptions of the factual truth, without any mistake or illusion. And Shukadev Goswami wants to present the truths of creation not as a metaphysical theory of philosophical speculation, but as the actual facts and figures of the subject, since he would be dictated to do to since he would be dictated to by the Lord exactly in the same manner as Brahmaji was inspired. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, the Lord is himself the father of the Vedanta knowledge, and it is he only who knows the factual purport of the Vedanta philosophy. Sarvasya chaham rilsannivishto. So, there is no greater truth than the principles of the religion mentioned in the Vedas. Such Vedic knowledge or religion is disseminated by authorities like Shukadev Goswami because he is a humble devotional servitor of the Lord who has no desire to become a self appointed interpreter without authority. That is the way of explaining the Vedic knowledge, technically known as the Parampara system or descending process. The intelligent man can see without mistake that any material creation Whether one's own body or a fruit or a flower cannot beautifully grow up without the spiritual touch. The greatest intelligent man of the world or the greatest man of science can present everything very beautifully only insofar as the spirit life is there, or in so much as the spiritual touch is there. Therefore, the source of all truths is the Supreme Spirit and not gross matter, as wrongly conceived by the gross materialists. We get information from the Vedic literature that the Lord Himself first entered the vacuum of the material universe, and thus all things gradually developed one after another. Similarly, the Lord is situated as localized Paramatma in every individual living being. Hence, everything is done by Him very beautifully. The 16 principal creative elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, and the 11 sense organs, first developed from the Lord Himself and were thereby shared by the living entities. Thus, the material elements are created for the enjoyment of the living entities. The beautiful arrangement behind all material manifestations is therefore made possible by the energy of the Lord, and the individual living entity can only pray to the Lord to understand it properly. Since the Lord is the supreme entity, different from Shukadev Goswami, the prayer can be offered to him. The Lord helps the living entity to enjoy material creation, but he is aloof from such false enjoyment. Shukadev prays for the mercy of the Lord, not only for being helped personally in presenting the truth, but also for helping others to whom he would like to speak. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Next verse. नमस्तस्मै भगवते वासुदेवाय वेदसे पपुर्ज्ञानमयं सौम्यायन्मुखाम्बुरुहासवम् Namaha. Let me pay obeisances unto Sri Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudeva, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. Vasudeva Goswami paying obeisances to his father Vyasadeva. The pure devotee drink up the nectarian transcendental knowledge, dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. Nama Namaste Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vedase. He has compiled the Vedas. Papuhu Jnanam, drinking. Jnanam Ayam, this Vedic knowledge. Saumyaha, the devotees. Because the pure devotees are drinking this Vedic knowledge. This Vedic knowledge is meant to know the qualities of Krishna. Sometimes we become very allergic to the name Vedas. Yes, we can become allergic to the name Vedas if we think about only the flowery languages of Vedas. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti vipaschita. So, Vedavadarataha parthananarastiti vadina. Vedavadarataha, for them, they are too much to Vedas and thinking that, and they are just attracted to the flowery language of Vedas. But here, the pure devotees, what they are doing, they are drinking the real knowledge. Especially the devotees, especially the concerts of the Lord. Mukham Buruha Ashvasam. So pure devotees drink the nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. So Saumyaha here refers to the concerts of Lord Krishna. The gopis, the devotees, the gopis, Lakshmi, they're all drinking the nectar from the lotus-like mouth of Lord. Even in Gopi Gita also. Nice verses there. I tell you the words by the time somebody read, I remember the words. Kusmanjali. Please read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Papurjnanam Ayam Saumya Yen Mukhamburuhasavam. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudeva, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees drink up the nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus like mouth of the Lord. Purport: in pursuance of the specific utterance, Vedase, or the compiler of the system of transcendental knowledge, Srila Sridhara Swami has commented that the respectful obeisances are offered to Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Vasudeva. Srila Jiva Goswami has agreed to this, but Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has made a further advance, namely that the nectar from the mouth of Lord Krishna is transferred to his different concerts, and thus they learn the finer arts of music, dance, dressing, decorations, and all such things which are relished by the Lord. Such music, dance, and decorations enjoyed by the Lord are certainly not anything mundane, because the Lord is addressed in the very beginning as Para or transcendental. This transcendental knowledge is unknown to the forgotten conditioned souls. Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of the Lord, thus compiled the Vedic literatures to revive the lost memory of the conditioned souls about their eternal relation with the Lord. One should, therefore, try to understand the Vedic scriptures or the nectar transferred by the Lord to his concerts in the conjugal humor from the lotus like mouth of Vyasadeva or Sukadeva. By gradual development of transcendental knowledge, one can rise to the stage of the transcendental arts of music and dance displayed by the Lord in his Rasa Leela. But without having the Vedic knowledge, one can hardly understand the transcendental nature of the Lord's rasa dance and music. The pure devotees of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of the profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the rasa dance, as there is no mundane distinction between the two. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
You see, this is the verse. Madhuraya gira Valluvakyaya Buddhamanogaya Pushkarekshanam Vidikaririma Veeramayate Radarasiduna Yayasvanaham. O lotus-eyed one, your sweet voice and charming words which attract the mind of the intelligent are given bring us more and more. O dear hero, please revive your maid servants with the nectar of your lips. That is why here concerts have been given, because they really want to bring the nectar from the lips of Krishna. Last verse of this chapter. Etad evatma bhurajan नारदाय विपृच्छते वेदगर्भो अवयदात् साक्षात् यदिताह हरिरात्मनः. O my dear king, Brahma, Sukadeva Goswami is saying to Parikshit Maharaj, my dear king, Brahma, the firstborn, on being questioned by Narada, exactly appraised him on the subject, as it was directly spoken by Lord to his own son, which who was impregnated with Vedic knowledge from his very birth. So Brahma is giving this knowledge to Narada. He exactly gave everything, whatever he learned from his father, that is Krishna. Okay, Narayana, read this verse. Pause of all pauses. Narayana, read.
Yes, Mataji. एतदेवात्मभूराजन् नारदाय विपृच्छते वेदगर्भोऽभ्यधात् साक्षात् यदाह हरितात्मनः. Translation: My dear king, Brahma, the firstborn, on being questioned by Narada, exactly apprised him on this subject, as it had been directly spoken by the Lord to his own son, who was impregnated with Vedic knowledge from his very birth. As soon as Brahma was born of the abdominal lotus petals of Vishnu, he was impregnated with Vedic knowledge, and therefore he is known as Vedagarbha, or a Vedantist from the embryo. Without Vedic knowledge or perfect infallible knowledge, no one can create anything. All scientific knowledge and perfect knowledge are Vedic. One can get all types of information from the Vedas, and as such, Brahma was impregnated with all perfect knowledge so that it was possible for him to create. Thus, Brahma knew the perfect description of creation as it was exactly apprised to him by the Supreme Lord Hari. Brahma, on being questioned by Narada, told Narada exactly what he had heard directly from the Lord. Narada again told exactly the same thing to Vyasa, and Vyasa also told Shukadev exactly what he had heard from Narada. And Shukadev was going to repeat the same statements as he had heard them from Vyasa. That is the way of Vedic understanding. The language of Vedas can be revealed only by the above mentioned disciplic succession and not otherwise. There is no use in theories. Knowledge must be factual. There are many things that are complicated, and one cannot understand them unless they are explained by one who knows. The Vedic knowledge is also very difficult to know and must be learned by the above mentioned system. Otherwise, it is not at all understood. Shukadev Goswami therefore prayed for the mercy of the Lord so that he might be able to repeat the very same message that was spoken directly by the Lord to Brahma, or what was directly spoken from by Brahma to Narada. Therefore, the statements of creation explained by Shukadev Goswami are not at all, as the mundaners suggest, theoretical, but was perfectly correct. One who hears these messages and tries to assimilate them gets perfect information of the material creation. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the second canto, fourth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Process of Creation. Hare Krishna.
Any doubts? Stop here. Next class we'll do with the cause of all causes. Narada will ask many questions now. Beautiful chapter that is for the cause of all causes. Okay. Pancha Kalpataru Vyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyavacha Patitanam Pavane Vivashya Namo